Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the English Learning Studio. Today we are going to discuss the speaking, aspect of oral communication in English. So, and we will take into account for the academic, part of IELTS examination as well as software and those kind of, competitive or the English, proficiency examinations. So, first thing, I want this session to be a little bit interactive. Just, suppose even if you got any question, you can ask me straight away. So first thing, what we be careful about when we are speaking, or when we are having a conversation. Speaking can be done to single person, to a crowd or audience, what we call it. So it can be done in two parts as well. It can be over telephone as well. It can be a conversation on video conference as well in high-tech technology use and all those this kind of era. So this is a very important aspect of communication, and especially when we are talking about English language, so that is an important thing. So while attending the speaking of IELTS examination, you need to be careful with so many of the things. We are going to discuss a couple of or a few topics or a few places where you need to be careful while attending a speaking in IELTS examination. And also will focus on general communication when you are talking to someone in person. Speaking, first few things would be add your voice. When you are talking to someone, you should know how many people you got in front of you or how many people you are talking to. If there is only one person, you should be talking in a way that it shouldn't be so loud, and the voice should be according to the situation. When you're talking to someone, we are not supposed to shout, and we should be audible enough that a person in front of us can understand us, can listen to what we are saying. Other using the vocabulary, both of the person, they will be knowing the language whenever the communication is happening. But other aspect of that language use is the words which you are using. You should use it, according to the knowledge or the proficiency or the knowledge of English of the person who is listening to you. You cannot use a tough vocabulary in front of someone who is just a beginner of English language. And if someone is really proficient in English language, you can use tough or complex vocabularies in front of him. The other thing, what I would say is more important, maybe the most important, consider the listener. And then speak. Take account of the person or the people whom we are talking to when we are giving some speech on the stage. And we cannot expect everyone to be so much proficient in English language. So that is also an important part of speaking. Now we focus on IELTS examination. When you are attending speaking in IELTS examination, you need to be interactive a little bit when the person in front of you is examining you, because it is important for general conversations as well. Because if a person is sitting in front of you and if he finds your body language or if he finds your conversation, the way you are speaking, dull, or if he if you don't create interest in your conversation, that is not good, and then the person in front of you will be bored. Okay, so that is also an important part to consider the listener. Always keep the listener in consideration when you are speaking something. Now we move a little bit, we focus a little bit on speaking of IELTS examination. If you are given a topic to speak, understand the topic first. General, I will point out a common mistake by taking an example. Let us say if I am asked to describe the hospitality in my country, if a person who is not that good with the vocabulary, he will start talking about the medical facilities available. That is a common mistake. It can look a little bit silly, but that is a common mistake which we do. So we need to improve our vocabulary. When we are sitting in front of a person, we should, stay calm and we should try to understand the topic, what is asked to us. Okay? And then we will be given 1 minute to frame our topic, frame things what we are going to speak about. We should utilize that in a really good manner. We should frame it. Say for example, we've got 3 parts. Generally, we don't entitle them as three parts, but if you've got three parts and we are talking about something when we are having a conversation, that is introduction, the body part, and the conclusion. So we should think like that, we should frame our sentences according to that, and then after utilizing that 1 minute very nicely, we should speak. Okay. Do not try to use complex vocabulary, as I said earlier, in IELTS examination as well, because if you are having complex vocabulary, with you, but you might not be able to use those words. So, do not try to use complex word forcefully. Okay? With that, I mean, is if you are using a complex word or a word which is not generally practiced when we are having general conversation, and if we are not able to place it at the right place while we are speaking, that would look a little bit awkward or odd. Okay? So that also we should have in account. So we'll take a couple of examples here. Let us start with simple topics. Clue card, we say. If I ask the person, that describes something about your hometown, that is a simple topic. You can say about it. So there you don't need to use complex vocabulary, and you don't need to use extraordinary knowledge which we call. So you just have to describe your hometown. That would be easy. When we move to other, a little bit tough category, there comes, something about laws and all those things. So there you need to use a little bit of knowledge. But what is general knowledge? Okay, you don't need to apply a specified knowledge on anything. Being a citizen of India, we must be knowing a little bit of, our constitution, the traffic rules, say for example, what we follow. Even the rules of police and all this, we will be knowing it. So there you don't need to apply specific and deep knowledge of it. We do carry a little bit of general knowledge of our country's constitution. But then, silly looking, what tougher topic that describes your favorite flower. First impression is so easy. But when we start talking about it, we will find ourselves short of material. We cannot speak about that thing if we cannot imagine. So first thing, while taking speaking in account of IELTS examination or any English proficiency examination, we need to imagine things. We should have at least a little bit of imagination power that we can frame a couple of sentences so that we can speak for a few minutes. Okay? So imagining is very important in IELTS examination. So let us ask Mr. Pankaj there. If I ask you, describe your favorite flower, what would it be? You can think for a few seconds and then you can speak. Tell me when you are ready.
I have few ideas, not much. That I like rose and flowers very much because I like its smell, and I like the shape, while it's growing or it's blossoming. And the different colors that rose has, and different variety of colors it has.
Yes, that was maybe around 30 seconds. And all of us know that if we are appearing for an English proficiency examination, let us say examine IELTS exam. So in that topic we'll have to talk about for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So let us start again. We'll ask Mr. Arvind there. So could you please describe your favorite flower?
My favorite flower is rose because this is the most beautiful flower, and it is known as the king of flower because its look is like a crown. It's very important to consider different colors of flowers because with different colors of flowers it comes the thing that where the flower should be given. Like in some of the parties, you can give different like red rose. In some other places you can give white or any other colored rose flower. So it is a very good flower, and the complexity of its shape and the complexity of the leaves of the flower is such that it can attract any person who is standing in front of him. And the flower mainly comes as it contains a very beautiful look, because it is to be given in any anniversary or
Okay. It was a nice answer, but I would like to point to think what I was saying here. When I didn't give the time to think of it, but still you should have thought. What I was coming on is, when you build an introduction part, you should, emphasize a little bit of general things about rose, and then framing of the sentences is important. Like you in the beginning said that it has got a shape of crown, then you started talking about where we give it and what it emphasize on the color, what emphasizes, on what the color emphasizes, and again we came on the structure of the flower, about the features of the flower. So when you are given 1 minute to think of the topic, you should frame it accordingly. When you say the shape is like crown, you should have spoken about the shape for a few seconds, and then you should have moved on the colors and where they are appropriate. And say for example, you talk about so many things and white rose is emphasizing peace, where red rose is given to someone who it is used extensively on Valentine's days and those kind of days. So yeah, we can talk about it. So what we did was we imagined the things. Okay? So this is also an important part that you should start imagining. You should frame it according to, because if I am listening to someone, if I am the examiner, for example, I am the examiner and you are talking to me, I will be jumbled throughout the, speaking, because I am trying to grasp and understand the thing, what is say by you. So once you are talking about the structure of the rules, and then at the end, again you talk about the structure of the rules. I try to connect those both things, So in that process, I will miss what we are speaking according to the time, minimize what I am arranging, what I am trying to understand about it. So according to me, it should be in a flow. It also disturbs your flow, because at the end what you also do is you made a pause, right? Speak, So that is also important when you are talking to someone. You should be fluent, but you should talk in a flow. So for example, if I'm fluent in English, if I'm asked to talk about rose, I will say it is available in so many types of color, and its shape looks like a crown, and it is available in pink color, orange color, white color. I was fluent, but the material that I was speaking, or the matter that I was speaking was same. So fluency is not the only thing which is important while you are speaking on something particular. Okay? So we'll just revise what we have gone through. First is we should consider the listener who is speaking, sitting in front of you. The other thing, you should have material with you. You should have imagination. You should have a vocabulary. You should use the vocabulary according to the person who is sitting in front of you or the audience whom you are speaking. And last thing what I would say is, when you are giving any kind of speech, we have got many of the types of speech. Speaking is also many of the types. That is impromptu, extempore, read and speak, what most of politicians do. But emphasizing on IELTS examination, you don't have material with us to speak about. When you're reading and you're speaking, you won't be that much nervous. And the last thing is, your body movements are also important. You should have a little bit of body movements. You shouldn't be robotronic, but the body movements or body language should not be, they should not be exaggerated so that it distracts the listener. Okay? So I'd like to conclude it in here. I hope you have gathered a little bit of knowledge of attending the speaking, and thank you all for coming here.